Hello, I am Joshua Michael Stewart. I decided to make a short video about my new book, which is called Welcome Home, Russell Edson. It is a hybrid between the prose poem and the graphic novel. I created the book with illustrators Brett Herholtz and Aaron Krolakowski, and it's hardcover. The illustrations look like this. I've shared some pictures before. And the story is about Russell Edson coming back from beyond to have a dinner party with family and friends. That part of the book you would have to purchase to read. But I thought I would read some of my own original prose poems that are in the second half of the book. And I will start with Infinite Density, which was originally published in the New Flash Fiction Review. Paul couldn't understand what was happening to him. Each day he woke up a little shorter. I must be shrinking, Paul thought. He knew this happened to old people, but he was far too young to be an old person. Then the day came when Paul couldn't see over the kitchen counter or reach doorknobs, not even on his tippy toes. He'd have nightmares, running endless fields of shag carpet, chased by a brontosaurus-sized mouse. As Paul grew smaller, frustration swelled within his body. The most tedious disappearing act, he'd say to his pet water bear. He had become a speck of memory to family and friends. Only his mother would visit him, her eyelashes sweeping a microscope lens, the closest she came to touching him. The dwindling increased until Paul reduced to infinite density. Precipitously, he exploded, spreading incalculable atoms throughout the space-time continuum, generating planets, solar systems, galaxies, an entire universe created out of Paul dust. Amoebas formed, then fish. Then the fish walked out of oceans, and bumbling two-legged creatures hunted monstrous beasts with spears. All owe their existence to Paul. The more advanced species gathered to tell tales of his greatness and sing praise. They raised their eyes and hearts toward the nightly tundra and called to him, their shadows gesticulating wildly in campfire light. The next poem is actually a haibun, which is a traditional Japanese form that connects a prose poem with a haiku, sometimes with a tanka. And this was originally published in Modern Haiku. It's called Pitharism. Once, when I was 4, my brother snoring in the bunk above, I crept out of bed and padded past my parents' room, down the basement stairs, both hands on the rail, and stepped out the back door, snow crunching under my footy pajamas. And except for wind in the trees, silence. No one to call me stupid or yell at me for not eating lima beans. And there, in the backyard, I looked up at the moon, and no one, not my parents, my brother, not a lover confided in years later, knew I walked away that night and never returned. December rain, a blue jay blooms in tree after tree. The next one is a 100-word story that was published in 100-Word Story, and it's entitled Barbara and Gerald. He asks for forgiveness. She hands him sin. Their marriage, a traveling circus caravanning towards tornado green sky. Over the bathroom sink she plucks her eyebrows, wearing her come fuck me boots. She steps into the kitchen, he's slumped at the table in boxers. She flips the wall switch 3 times. I'm tired of hoping and having hope turn its back on me, she says. He offers pork rinds from an open bag. She drags a chair across the yellowed linoleum, climbs on, twists out the light bulb. I shouldn't have to do this, she says. I shouldn't have to do this in heels. The next prose poem is probably my more surreal poem, prose poem in this collection. I wrote it for my brother who passed away in 2007, and it was originally published in Unbroken. It's called To the Brim. My shadow elongates across the bedroom floor as the afternoon wears on. It's like watching home videos of someone else's children. Somewhere else, a man I once knew, once loved, finds himself in the woods. Inside a rotting log, he comes across a white coffee cup the size of a human heart. A crack runs the length of the cup, a hairline fracture in a human skull. As night falls, my shadow becomes one with the carpet. In darkness, there's only the shape of darkness. Like a tooth belonging to an old lion, the cup's handle is broken and jagged. The man I once knew, once loved, raises his eyes to the full moon. It's like looking into an empty coffee cup. I mount my hobby horse and gallop through a field of wild pinwheels. I'm grinning like a jackass. Somewhere ahead of me, a man I once knew, once loved, holding an empty coffee cup, hoping I brought something to fill it with, something vitalizing and warm. I will end with one last prose poem that was published in Pink. It's a fun little one. It's called Night of the Living Blues. She's savvy and slender. Her mama says she's sassy. Her papa says she's a sip of wine. Her preacher proclaims she's bathtub hooch, making all the praying men go blind. She's the subject of every hush and hiss spewing from pursed lips, dribbling over countertops, bars, and bone china tea sets. Blue-haired, horn-rimmed glasses gab on about her 7 children and the 6 or 7 fathers that go along with them. The cops have tried to link her to 3 murders, and every burned-out house has her name written in its ashes. Does she believe in God? Whom does she love? The townfolk know, of course, Jeremiah Earl, her brother, who went dull after he was kicked in the noggin by a horse. Way back when they were children, she ass-whipped every boy who called her brother something less than human. Now she works 2 jobs waiting tables so he won't end up locked up in some mental institution. Each beau she brings home tries to convince her to have her brother committed. Each Mac she drags back ends up sideswiped by a skillet. And tonight, like every night's a good night to go on living. It's good weather for a low-cut summer dress and cowgirl boots cut from red leather. It's a fine time to shove a lime in a bottle of Corona under her porch light with the town's new tow truck driver. She knows the brightness a bit of loneliness can inspire. The moon's nothing but dust and rocks, but it's still luminous when he leans in to kiss her. She slides one hand up the heat of his thigh, the other behind her back fists a knife. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you check out my book. There will be a link to order the book in the comment section, and I hope you enjoy this. Thank you. Bye-bye.